All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? We're back talking some hoops after the holidays. Hope everybody out there had a very Merry Christmas or whatever you celebrate. New Year's on the horizon. $1 million up top tonight, Rio. Very pumped for that. Nice little 9-game slate. Love how it's spread out. 2 games at 6. I guess where I'm at. 2 games at 7 Eastern. 5 games at 8 Eastern. A 10 Eastern. A 10:30 Eastern game. Love how they do that. Love seeing a lot of familiar faces in chat. And hope everybody had great holidays out there, enjoyed it with some friends, family, or just by yourself watching some sports. Throw it to you, Rio. How was your holidays? What's going on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, everything's good over here. Just on vacation with the fam right now. Got a house full of dogs, house full of people. So same old. But yeah, this is an interesting slate. You don't really have a ton of the main spend ups like the Jokic, the Lukas. The highest price guy in the slate is 10.5K. So going to be interesting to see how the builds shake out in terms of that. But yeah, a ton of injury news as always with these big 9-game slates. Could definitely make or break the slate depending on how the injury news goes. So definitely talk that through and give our best lean on those types of things. Yeah,
tons of Q tags. We'll go game by game like always, if then scenarios. But again, all of our content projections updated throughout the night. Discord, core reports, cash reports, all changes in yellow. Slate plan from our man Rio. We have showdown core reports as well, showdown breakdowns. No better price, no better deal in the industry. Head over to SHIPIT.com. Weekly, monthly, 6-month, and annual packages. All packages do include the Discord except the weekly package. And of course, shout out to our sponsor, Drafters. Head over to drafters.com. We're going to be doing shows the next 3 weeks. Hoop and I are going to do on Friday. And then Marley's going to be on the next 2. Ham's going to be on there. Hoop's going to be on there as well. Talking playoff best ball. Very big edge in that. Very interesting dynamics. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're not, sign up at drafters.com. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% up to $100. I keep saying it, but shout out to Go Collect. Still sitting in first place. 1 week left. Hell of a sweat, man. Hell of a team. Before we go game by game, got to say hi to everyone in chat. Michael's in here. We appreciate those words, Michael. Hope everything's well. Paraby's in here. William, Ben, Alex Hahn, Wyatt, Jordan, Chris, Big Rob, Jasmine. Hope you had a good Christmas, Jasmine. Darren, Nate B, Charlie, Gator Nation, Michael, Bull, Jeff Hicks. What is going on, everybody? Appreciate everyone hanging out. As always, as I will say this too, FanDuel only 7 games. So FanDuel took the DK, what they did last week, and cut out the last 2 games of the slate. So if you're playing over on FanDuel, you do not have to worry about the 10 and 10:30 Eastern games. DK did include them. All we ask from you guys, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. We are on our way to 5,000 subscribers. We got to be right there. So head over, don't even head over. We're on the Shipping Nation channel. We're not on Mayo Media Network. Hit that subscribe. Once we get 5,000, we will be giving away an annual package. Rio, any thoughts? Again, a lot of injury news. We'll go questionable tags like Trae Young, Victor Wembanyama, both questionable. Both did go through shoot around, so I'm expecting them to play. Again, a lot of other Q tags. When we go game by game, we'll mention them. But any final thoughts? I like what you said about the 10.5K. I mean, Luka, Giannis, AD, Bron, all the big boys played yesterday, so you're forced into more of a mid-tier build. Any other thoughts, though, or should we just go game by game?
No, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Showing 5K. Let's go. I did not refresh, so be on the lookout for an annual membership that will be given. I think it'll be the Thursday show. There we go. Love to see that. Reading 5K. Sorry, I doubted you guys for a sec. I didn't even refresh on my YouTube. But hey, if you haven't hit it already. But that annual will be given out, I believe, on Thursday show with Tambo, Hoop, and myself. Do not quote me for sure, though, but be on the lookout for that. We appreciate all the support as always. Looking forward to stay hot. Someone in the RP or someone in the Shipping Nation channel. Yeah, I know. Tough scenes, man. It's been close. It's been a lot of years. But yeah, a lot of people at Shipping Nation in those 2,500 milli streets. Hopefully someone here ships something big, lay the house, Rio's in there, Tambo's in there, I'm in there, a couple other members as well. So congrats to what if 4 or 5K? Oh, congrats on 5K. Thank you for that. Still in Wisco. Yes, I am. I'm going to be out tomorrow morning, bright and early, though, heading back to Arizona. So I'm excited for that and hopefully have an extra million in my pocket on the plane ride home. Let's go game by game, like always. First game of the night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Brooklyn Nets, Detroit Pistons, 228.5 total. Brooklyn is favored by 6.5. Going to the Brooklyn side for the injury report, nothing we have to worry about. As far as the Detroit side, Killian Hayes is questionable. I want to say I might have just got new. Did we get any news right before we came on about Killian?
Yeah, he was downgraded. He was probable going into up to the show, and now he's questionable. And then Asar Thompson, I believe he got downgraded to probable.
Yep. So Asar Thompson's probable. 36 minutes ago, Killian Hayes downgraded to questionable. Talk to me if that does anything. Like Jaden Ivey, Alec Burks. Again, there's 2 games that start at this 7 p.m. window. Then we have an hour window where the 5 other games start, and there's a lot of injury news in it. So I think ownership in these first 2 games relatively low. And I think this game especially, I don't know, man. It looks really, really low. So is there any low-owned pieces you think you can get behind, lock in a spot, contrarian spend, get out to an early start, or is it just more of a fade spot?
No, I definitely have some interest in this game, mainly on the net side of things. Well, let's start with the Pistons because they're getting some guys back. So Jalen Duren is going to be returning from injury most likely, and not sure if he's going to be back in the starting lineup. Last time he missed some time with the ankle injury. He came off the bench in his first game. Still saw a starter like minutes, got up to 29 minutes. So I still expect him to get to that 25 to 30 minute range, and probably that will take James Wiseman, probably knock down some Marvin Bagley as well. I mean, we're not looking to play those guys, but it's definitely gonna. I mean, Jalen Duren has a pretty solid price tag considering how solid he was earlier in the season, 6.5K. But hopefully it stays that low for the next couple weeks, just because he's a stud, but he needs to get healthy first. If Killian Hayes is out, I mean, regardless if Killian Hayes is in or out, Jaden Ivey should be starting. He's been playing much better in the starting lineup, and he was spotted in a starter's jersey at practice this morning, so he's fine. He's going to be starting, but I don't really have a ton of interest on the Pistons in general. I like the spot here a lot for Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas, Spencer Dinwiddie. The Pistons obviously are one of the worst team, probably the worst team in the league. Haven't won a game since October. And their defense has just been awful. They've been one of the worst interior defenses this season with Duren off the court. So definitely getting him back will help them out a ton. But the Pistons are still getting killed by wing and guard, opposing guards. So all these guys are in a pretty good spot here. They're all kind of priced right around each other. 7.4 for Mikal, 7.2 Cam, 6.9K for Dinwiddie. And on our DVP chart, it's a really good matchup for guards. I think Cam Thomas, Dinwiddie in really good spots. I think one of these guys gets there. I think one of these guys has a really good game. I'll take the lean on Mikal Bridges just because we just saw him go off in the same matchup a couple days ago. And it's a really good price tag for him, 7.4K. He's been in the 8Ks, low 8Ks most of the year. So I think when you have all these guys kind of priced right around each other, Mikal is the preferred option. He's not going to be low on. I think he's coming in with a good amount of ownership. I'm seeing around 20-ish% for him. So you're not getting him low on like he was last time that these teams played. But still, it's a really good spot for him. So I like him a ton. And just going to be those 3 guys on the net side of things. And then the Pistons, I don't think it's too crazy to go back to Cade here. 8.3K is a really good price tag. He's still doing everything for the Pistons. I mean, he's not going to go super in-depth on the numbers, but his role has just been elite, just leading the team in every ball handling category you can think of. And 8.3K, really good price tag for him when he showed 60-point upside just 2 or 3 games ago. So I don't think it's too crazy to get into this game a little bit. Pretty solid game total, and I think you'll be getting these guys at pretty low ownership.
Yeah, the 2 that really stood out or if I went anywhere, Cade is the only guy on the Detroit side. He definitely will be contrarian. I mean, the usage 30+ in most games. He chucks the ball and again, very, very low ownership. Mikal Bridges, yeah, I think he'll probably be somewhere around 20% maybe. I still do think people will be a little hesitant to click on these first 2 games a little bit. Paulo in the other game is going to get some ownership too, but Bridges will be the highest in this game. I don't know. I am debating. I got a couple teams in that 2,500. If I want to go contrarian Cade, Cam Thomas, when you're talking about a little more, 30% usage in 4 of the past 5 games. We know he's a hooper, very scoring dependent, and I guess a little. I don't know if can't really say it's like leverage off of Mikal, who's going to get some ownership. But if Cam Thomas is chucking and he puts up a 50 burger, he's going to be probably taking some shots away from Bridges. Obviously, basketball, there's a lot of ways to score DFS points. Probably just Dinwiddie's definitely a distant 3 for me. Think he's fine as well. Will be very low owned as well. But I'm debating Cade, a little bit of him on Detroit side. I do like Mikal, and I like the Cam Thomas shout. A little more interest than I initially did. I'm always a sucker for him, though, because he's just such a hooper at the end of the day. But 40 real points and 45 DK points is definitely in the realm of his possibilities, too. Bridges, the only one to really get some ownership. I like it, though. Hopefully, a lot of people in chat saying the Pistons finally going to break their losing streak, etc. 6.5. Hey, that's not too bad of a spread. Hopefully, it does stay close. No love for Claxton. Any thoughts on or Darren Sharp? Man, he's absolutely not last game, but the prior 2 games, only 18 minutes. Point or per minute monster. I don't think I can get there in the 5Ks, but any thoughts on Claxton? I don't think I really want it, but anything?
No, I don't think I want to go there with Jalen Duren back. I mean, it's pretty expensive for Claxton, and I think that just the minutes are not as secure for him. I mean, he's kind of fluctuated between 25 to 30 minutes every game, so it's kind of a little bit tougher. I think that we can find some better spots at center for sure tonight.
I like it. And does Killian Hayes like Jaden Ivey's been crushing? He said for Cade, if it's a midday downgrade, I don't think it really does too much for Cade. Do you give him a little boost though if Hayes is out? And again, Ivey's already starting, so does Hayes news do anything for you?
No, if anything, that just secures Jaden Ivey's minutes more. Yeah, he should see. I mean, he saw 35 in 2 straight games. I think that is probably around where he'll be if this game were to stay close. I just don't. I think they're kind of starting to get away from the Killian Hayes and leaning into Cade and Ivey more, just because they have pretty high draft capital on these guys, and Killian has just kind of been an afterthought. So I don't think it really does much. I think it would maybe give. I mean, that's going to take like Sasser out of the lineup. You're not looking to play any of these guys, but I think that Ivy and Cade are pretty secure where they are right now, regardless of Killian's status.
Cool. And lay the house. Look at these future millionaires. Unfortunately, you got to take the S off. Only one can be crowned a millionaire today. I really hope it's one of us two, or you, or Tambo, or someone in the community. But hey, we're live. That's all we can ask for. Somebody is going to be very happy tonight. Hopefully it is someone over here. And maybe it is because of Cade, Bridges, Cam Thomas in that game. Let's keep it rolling. Next game, the second of 2 that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Orlando Magic heading to Washington. Good size total, 238.5. Orlando is favored by 7.5. On the Orlando side, pretty big news. Jalen Suggs continues to be questionable. He has continued to miss, though. Gary Harris will continue to start in his place if so. Joe Ingles is also questionable. He has also missed. I mean, if he comes back, you're taking a little more wing minutes from some of these guys. Not sure how much it means. It's that Houston guy, I think, that would take the biggest downgrade. He's cheeks anyway. You're not going to play him regardless. But Ingles, Jalen Suggs news means a little bit. And then as far as the other side, no injury news on the Washington side. They have like a million bodies on their team. And in terms of ownership for this game, Wizards side going to be very low owned. If I got to anyone, it'd be Kuzma. Contrarian spend at 1 or 2%. Has that upside. Not sure I see myself going there with limited teams. On the Magic side, Paulo, I think he gets a little bit of ownership. Franz has absolutely been hooping for them as well. Cole Anthony's been hooping too, but the prices come up. If I would need Suggs to be out to get to Cole Anthony myself. Still, I'm not sure how strong of a play at 6.7K. Talk to me about him. Paulo always tilts me, man. He definitely has some upside, but at 8.3, there's so many other. Like I prefer Cade, I think, especially at a way lower ownership. I think Franz is my favorite in this game, but I definitely don't like him much. You can easily fade it. That's my lean, but it's not a hot take. Paulo going to get some ownership, though. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great breakdown. I think that we're pretty much in line here. Wizard side is pretty easy to break down. They have a million bodies, like you said. DeLon Wright's going to be back. Landry Shamit's back. So, I mean, you're taking away minutes from Jordan Poole, who was already kind of, his minutes have been up and down this year just with his play. I mean, Denny is going to come down a little bit. Tyus Jones won't see a huge minutes ceiling anymore. So I think that you can pretty comfortably just X out this team minus Kuzma. But I mean, he's projecting as a pretty strong value for us right now. I think I'm okay getting away from it, though. This Magic team has surprisingly been one of the best defensive teams in the league all season. Top 4 overall defense. They're top half of the league in pretty much everything: rim defense, 3-point defense. So I'm kind of thinking this game is a pretty big blowout pretty quickly. I mean, obviously, we know how bad Washington is defensively. They're dead last overall defense. But there should be a good game environment regardless for the Magic side. Like you said, Paulo, Franz, I think those are the 2 main guys you're looking at. Definitely a great matchup. The Wizards dead last in rim defense, so both of those guys are going to be operating down there mainly. I think I am in line with you, though. I think I prefer Franz in this one. I was looking just historically. I know that this is, we're talking about a single game here, but I mean, historically, Franz is crushed in this matchup. He has games in this season against the Wizards of 52.3 DraftKings points and 46 DraftKings points. So, I mean, the ceiling hasn't really been there lately. He's kind of taken a back seat, hasn't gotten over he had 47 2 games ago against Milwaukee, but before that,
I was there. Maybe that's why I know, because him and his brother Mo, that pick and roll, he was dominating them. And I will say, Jonathan Isaac, bro, they talk about why they're so good in the paint. When he plays, that man is a freak. Yeah. He was owning Giannis, and Giannis was getting pissed. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I saw that highlight of him blocking Giannis a couple times. I mean, yeah, he's a stud defender. He's definitely a huge difference maker down low. Happy to see him getting healthy. But yeah, I mean, Franz hasn't been great lately, so I think you kind of have to take that into account. But just the matchup is so good for both these guys, so I would not fault anybody for choosing either one of them or both of them. I think they both could definitely get there in this matchup. I think if you're playing both, you might want to try to correlate it a little bit. I don't know if you necessarily need to, but it would make a little bit of sense to get to like a Kuzma. But you're taking up all of your forward spots if you do that, so maybe not. But yeah, Paul and Franz definitely in great spots here, and I would definitely have a little bit of interest in Cole Anthony if Jalen Suggs is out. I mean, his minutes have been pretty solid. Usage is there. We know how good he is, how good of a fantasy scorer he is if he's getting the minutes. He had 46 in that same game against Milwaukee. So yeah, he can definitely get there. 6.7K is a lot to pay for somebody coming off of the bench, but he'll get the starter like minutes most likely if Suggs were to be out. But mostly just interested in Paulo and Franz in this one.
So how do you compare them to Cade, Mikal, Cam Thomas? Because I'm leaning all of those other guys in that other game over this, if I had to choose. Especially at ownership. Like, I think Paul is probably going to be higher owned than Bridges, or maybe it's pretty close, but 8 point. Yeah, I think Paulo gets, especially if Suggs is out. I'm leaning Cade, Bridges, that side a little more. Do you have a lean?
I think you should probably just go with the ownership plays. I think I'm seeing a little bit less on Paulo here, just probably because he's more expensive. But I mean, this is probably a better overall matchup for Paulo than it is for Mikal. So I guess I'll lean Paulo. He's been crushing lately too, so I think he's in pretty good form. So I think I'll lean with Paulo here, and if talking those two, and then yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Cade a lot as a low-end option, but I don't love it. I think that there will be probably better spots to look at.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 9-game slate. Again, there's a lot of Q tags that can change the whole slate. I don't think you want to go overboard on these first 2 games. If I do, I'm picking probably 2 max in all my lineups, at least hand building lineups. And it's probably going to be the studs. I don't see much value. Like people talking Goga, I do not think we need to go to Goga on this slate. It's really just pick a stud if you want to do it. Otherwise, wait for news and pretend locks at 8 p.m. Eastern, which I assume a lot of my teams will be doing as well. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. Take 1 second out of your day. Hit that thumbs up. Helps us out a ton. Hit that subscribe. On the way to 10K. A lot of people, a lot of wordsmiths out there taking Tambo's lingo, coming up with new stuff. So I love to see that. Next game on the slate, Utah Jazz heading to San Antonio, 242 total. Your Utah Jazz favored by 3.5. On the Spurs side, Wemby is questionable. He did participate in shoot around though, so I'm expecting him to go. As far as the other side, with the Jazz, not seeing any, no news on the Utah side that we're waiting on. Man, what are your thoughts? So Socan's going to get some ownership in this game, and we always talk about it. It's like, I'm good at fading Socan ownership, especially expecting Wemby to be in. He does have point guard and small forward eligibility, which is nice. Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Wemby. I don't know. I think Vassell's interesting. Wemby always as a contrarian spend. He looks to be pretty low on this slate. Utah side tougher to get to. I think the only one at the price tag is Laurie. But man, 8.6K, you really can't miss. It's your Utah Jazz, though. Maybe you can talk to me with a hidden gem. What are you seeing on the Spurs side?
Yeah, so we talk about Jeremy Sochan all the time. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this guy's game. Just offensively, he really does not provide much. He's just like kind of like a putback, like getting open dunks, like layup type guy. He has no real ability outside of that. I mean, he's an okay passer, but yeah, definitely if Wemby is in, that takes off a ton of upside for him because he's been doing a lot as a rebounder lately. So I think having Wemby out of the lineup has definitely given him a pretty solid floor for rebounds. So I think I can safely fade him. Like I probably would just X him out of my personal player pool if Wemby is in. I'm totally fine getting away from somebody that has a floor in the teens at 25+% ownership. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is probably the best game environment on the whole slate. It just sucks that it's these two teams because the Jazz. Well, let's start with the matchups wise. So these are the bottom 7, bottom 6 rated defenses. Spurs are a top 3 pace team. Both these teams are bottom 7, or the Spurs are bottom 7 rim defense, dead last in 3-point defense, and the Jazz are the second worst 3-point defense in the league. Both these teams are first and second worst in transition defense as well. So I mean, realistically, this game should have a pretty high point total. Obviously, it's a 242 over under, but the downside of this is that both these teams. I mean, for the Spurs side, you never know what Popovich is going to do. I mean, Keldon Johnson was out of the starting lineup last game just randomly. Wemby rolled his ankle on a ball boy's foot and was a late scratch. So, they're bringing in Julian Champagnie. They're playing Chetty. They're playing Doug McDermott. They're playing all these guys minutes. So it's really tough to pinpoint which is going to be the guy to kind of separate himself from the group. The guy that I have the most interest in for sure is Devin Vassell. Matchup wise, this is one of the best matchups for opposing guards. If you look at our DVP ranking, we have the Jazz dead last in DVP versus combo guards. So, I mean, Vassell is in a really good spot here, and he's probably the safest option in terms of minutes. It's probably him and Sochan are the safest for their minutes. I don't think that they're going to really, like, Pop won't bench these guys. I think that he's kind of trying to develop them a little bit. Not really too sure why he benched Keldon, but he was still on his way to playing starter-like minutes. I think that he's probably fine too, but I'll definitely prefer Vassell just for the matchup on the Spurs side. And on the Jazz side, I mean, this is probably as healthy as they've been all season long. So it's kind of, you can really make a case for a few of these guys, but you got to start to like whittle down your player pool. I think you could just X out Sexton, THT, X out Olynyk, Simone Fontecchio, Ochai Agbaji, X out Chris Dunn. So that way you're left with 4 guys to choose from. And that's John Collins, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and Jordan Clarkson. And I definitely have a preference for Laurie and Clarkson just for this being such a good matchup for 3-point shooters. The opportunity cost is a lot because there definitely is downside to both of them with how deep this rotation is for the Jazz right now. But Laurie definitely he's shown 60+ point upside. I mean, there's really not a better matchup for him to have a good game in than this one. He got up to 39 minutes last game against Toronto, so he looks to be fully back from his hamstring injury. He'd probably be my favorite option on the Jazz side. Very, very sketchy to pay 8.6K for him because there is the bottom could fall out pretty quickly. But I think if he has a big game, you could get paid off pretty handsomely with him looking at less than 3% ownership.
Yeah, I've seen Paulo again. I think Paulo Bridges probably in the 20% range or something. Markkanen could be sub 5%, similar price. Definitely interested in some Markkanen. No one else on the Jazz side. I like your Vassell call though. I don't know. I don't know if I have the stones. Probably I'll land on Sochan in some teams and be really tilted at myself when he does absolutely nothing because I think he does get some ownership. Now, if Wemby's out, which again, he participated in shoot around, we're expecting him to play. If he's out, though, then you can load up on all these. It's still Pop. It's still the Spurs. It's still sketchy. Zach Collins would slide in to the 5. Still, the minutes are kind of capped and the price is up there. But then Sochan's a way better play. Vassell is a better play. Keldon, Branham, then you're looking at a good amount of Spurs. But we're expecting him to play. He went through shoot around, and it sounded like he could have went that game, or like it was more precautionary. They taped him up and decided to hold him out. Obviously, he's the future. They don't need to try and win right now, so obviously that made sense. But I'm expecting him to give it a go. Man, the Sohan stuff, I already know I'm probably going to have a little, and he's probably going to really tilt me. But he's looking at one of the higher owned plays on the slate. I like the Vassell pivot for $1,000 more. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate, Indiana Pacers taking on the Houston Rockets. Another big total, 238.5. Houston is favored by 3. No injury news on the Houston side. Indy side, Bruce Brown is out, which is actually important. Nembhard, I expect to start again. Talk about highest player or highest owned player on the slate. I think it will be Andrew Nembhard. Looks like pretty good chalk to me. 5K coming off a monster game. I shouldn't say monster game. Very, very efficient game. 8 for 10 from the field, 36 minutes. Still only 25 DK points though. And again, I think he comes in. Again, a lot can change. There's so many Q tags. It really only takes a Wemby being out to switch the whole slate when in terms of ownership. Nembhard's going to be owned though. What are your thoughts on him? But again, I think Buddy Hield might get some ownership. Jalen Smith might get some ownership. And then looking on the Rockets side, I always got interest in Sengun, always got interest in Fred VanVleet. And of course, shame on me, Tyrese Halliburton, 10.4K. You definitely know I have a little interest there. Not the best matchup. Tari Eason's another one. This game's good, man. How many's too many? Talk about Nembhard to start, though, because I think he's going to be very popular.
Yeah, so yeah, Nembhard got the start last game for Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown already ruled out, like you said. He probably could have gotten close to 40 minutes. I mean, if you were paying attention to the game, which I'm assuming a lot of people were, if they played Nembhard, he picked up 2 quick fouls, so he lost some minutes in his first half rotation, and still I think he played 21 second half minutes. So I mean, he's going to play a ton of minutes. They definitely need him for his on-ball defense. He'll probably get the Fred VanVleet matchup. So I think he's definitely a good value right now as it stands. If obviously, like you said, if Wemby were to be out, I mean, there's also some other injury news in this Chicago-Atlanta game, which could open up some more value. But this is why you don't really want to load up on this 4 p.m. game, 4 p.m. games. That maybe take 1 or 2 pieces, then move on and just kind of backload a little bit, wait to see for the injury news, because there's definitely some big ones. But I'll be honest though, I was doing my normal write-up for my slate plan, just getting myself kind of prepared for the show, and I wasn't able to get through every single game, so this is one I did not write up, so I'm a little bit behind on that. Had a late night taking care of a puppy and just
you don't gotta explain. Sleep, so. It's Christmas. Yeah. You grind so hard every day, man. You gotta enjoy life once in a while. So it's totally fine.
But yeah, I mean, we know how the Pacers are going to play. They're extremely fast paced. They're a terrible rim defense. I believe they're still dead last in second worst rim defense now. So yeah, I mean, this is a great matchup for everybody on the Houston side. I definitely would probably prefer Sengun. He's been just playing great lately. I think he's kind of flipped a switch ever since he got benched a couple games ago versus Atlanta. And yeah, last 2 games ago against Dallas, that was the huge blowout. He got 47.5 DraftKings points in 25 minutes. Last game, he had 65 DraftKings points against New Orleans, which is, it's a not as easy as a matchup versus the Pacers. So I definitely have a lot of interest in Sengun. This is one of the best matchups you can ask for an opposing center. I think I'm okay with. Oh man, Fred VanVleet's been struggling the last couple of games, but I'm still okay with going to him. I don't want to get too deep into the game log stuff. I mean, you look back 3 games ago, he crushed versus Atlanta, crushed versus Cleveland, so he's definitely still got the upside. Nembhard is a really solid defender, though, so I think there's a lot more downside to Fred VanVleet than there is to Sengun, because Nembhard is he's definitely a very, very solid defender. Outside of those 2, though, like not a ton of interest in these guys, because I mean Jabari Smith all the way up to 7.1K. That we're used to having him around like 6.2, 6.4K, which is a lot more comfortable for him. He has shown good upside lately, but I think I'll just X him out of my play pool right now. Just not looking like a great value. I'm okay with getting away from pretty much everybody else besides Tari Eason. 5.6K is a really solid price tag for him, and we've been seeing his minutes tick up. Had 30 minutes in back-to-back games versus Cleveland and Milwaukee, then came down a little bit after a 1-game absence against the Pelicans, got up to 20 minutes. But we know how good he is. We know how good of a fantasy point per minute guy he is. So he could definitely make the player pool. 5.6K is a really solid price tag for him. And then on the Indy side, I don't really have a ton of interest just because Houston they play pretty slow, and they are one of the better defenses in the league, actually. Halliburton's not really been playing to the same level that we're accustomed to as he was earlier in the season. Did have a good game last time out versus Orlando, so maybe he's turned the corner, but I think I'm okay with getting – well, actually, I guess on the nature of the slate, 10.4K is pretty cheap for a stud when you're considering the highest price is 10.5.
3%. Yeah. He finally got up to 39 minutes, which is a big thing because his minutes came down a bit. Matchup is pretty tough, though. I don't know. Everyone knows I'm the biggest Halliburton homer out there, so don't listen to me much, but I'm very much considering what about him or like Buddy or something like that? Or if you do play Nemhard, how many Pacers would you be comfortable with?
Probably just one more outside of Nemhard. I'd probably just be a max one of this situation, not including Nemhard, just because I don't think that this is the best game environment. And we're looking at some pretty solid price tags and all these guys. I mean, Turner's price tag is coming down a little bit, but 7K still seems a little steep for him at the center position, which usually we're looking at that spot for value. So I think, he'll definitely go overlooked, but rightfully so. I guess Buddy Hield does make a lot work, but if I'm not mistaken, this Rockets team is one of the best they're top 5 3-point defense in the league. And that's where Buddy's going to get most of his work done. So I think that it's kind of just Nemhard and then Halliburton would probably be the ones that are making my player pool personally.
I still got a little interest in Jabari Smith. The price tag definitely feels way up there. I just can't. These last 3 games, 37, 30, 41 minutes. The usage, I mean, he's been efficient, no doubt about that, but 11, 8, 13 boards, 26, 21, 34 points. Young guy, feels like he's coming into his own. Matchup is good. I do have a little interest there. I have interest in Easton too. I don't really want to play them together. Easton only got 20 minutes his first game back, but 11 shot attempts, 23% usage. Like when he's on the court, he's actually doing something. I like Sengun a lot. Center's loaded like it always is. Thoughts on Jalen Smith too. I see him popping a little bit. I think it's more of a price play right now. At 4 point, I mean, it has to be a price play. Miles Turner's there right now. The value isn't great on this slate. Again, it just takes 1 or 2 injury news though to flip it all. So any thoughts on the Turner, the Jalen Smiths? I don't really want it.
No, he's just playing backup center minutes right now. I think that he's returned from an injury 2 games ago. Only got 8 minutes in the first game against Charlotte, put up 16 points. Our projections were pretty heavy on him that day, so it looked like we were off to the races, going to get a huge game out of him. But I mean, I think he's fine for sure if he's getting his normal backup center minutes, which would be around like 18 to 20. I think we have him projected for 15.3 minutes right now. So I think if he gets to like the 16, 18 minutes, he could definitely pay off the price tag. He's always been a solid fantasy point per minute guy, so I think he's okay, makes a lot of work on a slate that, we'll have enough value most likely if things kind of shake that way. But if we don't get the injury news that we need, then I guess he's definitely an option.
Yeah, and that's, again, these games, that's why I don't want to lock myself in it too much early because so many of these Q tags, over half the slate starts at this 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm expecting someone to be ruled out that then we fly. That's why if Wemby's out, Spurs, guys, whether you like it or not, Spurs will be popping. Spurs will be popular. And if Trae Young's out again, he went through shoot around though. If some news hits, Vooch, he's questionable when we get to that game. Like whoever is questionable that is ruled out, what stud is going to dictate where the value goes. Because right now it's not looking too strong. Got the number 2 Halliburton fan in this one though. He watched him play. Love that, Ben. A lot of Wisco people in the chat at SHIPIT Nation. Things you love to see. Next game on the slate, I do like Nemhard popular. I do like the Sengun, Jabari Smith, Eason, Tyrese. I'm always a sucker for, and I think Buddy is interesting, but I think a little less interest now. Probably just Tyrese and Nemhard on that side. But if I land on Buddy in a team, he has that 35-point upside, real point upside to break a slate. So I'm good with him. Houston side, though, I really like the Sengun shout. Ownership will be in check. Keep it rolling. Another game, 8 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta Hawks heading to Chicago, 235 total. Atlanta is favored by 1, and this is the injury news we're talking about. On the Hawks side, Trey's questionable. Jalen Johnson's questionable, and it sounds like he's going to come back. tonight. Very exciting for that, man. He was on fire before that wrist injury, went up for the dunk. And yeah, that was all
Kuzma.
she wrote there. Kuzma, yeah. That was tough scenes, but man, was he good. What does he do coming back to the offense, to the guys like a Trey? DeAndre Hunter is out too, though. So Hunter out, Trey questionable, Jalen Johnson's listing questionable, expected to be back. Chicago side, Vooch is questionable. Start with the Hawk side and Jalen Johnson returning. Trey did go through shoot around, so I'm expecting him to play. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on the starters, because I would not be surprised to see them go with Garrison Matthews still in the starting lineup and keeping Saddiq Bey at the power forward spot, but they could easily just slide Saddiq Bey down to the 3 and put Jalen Johnson back to the 4. So I think that when Hunter is back, it's going to take away a lot of minutes from Saddiq Bey for sure. I think he'll probably be back to his normal role of 20-25 minutes off of the bench, and we'll probably see a little bit less of a minutes upside from Onyeka Okongwu, he's been playing more power forward lately. But I think with Jalen Johnson back, that would probably just shift him back to the backup center role. But yeah, the guys like Bogdan, DeJounte, Trey, they'll be fine. That doesn't really affect them much at all. But yeah, definitely it brings a new dynamic to this team, because they could definitely use his athleticism, his transition scoring. He's a stud, man. I'm excited to see him back. I don't think that he'll have too much of a minutes restriction, if we're being honest, though, because it was a wrist injury. It's not a lower body injury, not something like an ankle injury or a knee injury where he has to kind of ramp it up and get back to full speed. I think that he could be pretty full right away. And I think that, he's definitely playable. 6.4K. We'd playing him in the 7Ks throughout the year normally.
That's another Wisco boy. Just add that in.
Yeah, Wisco's just breeding hoopers out there, pretty much.
Pods.
Yeah, we got a bunch of hoopers. But yeah, so Trey, he should be back. He should play. I don't think that really too much at risk of missing the game. He's just been on fire lately. I think he has 7 straight games, 30+ points, 10+ assists. I believe that's an NBA record. Just playing his best ball he's played in his career right now. And really, it's a solid matchup for him too. The Bulls are a pretty big 3-point funnel. They're bottom 5 in 3-point defense. So if this ownership is real on him, and we're looking at him at 5%, sign me up. He's projecting awesome right now for us. I have a lot of interest in Trey. He's just in really good form.
7 straight games of 59 or more. That's insane. The minutes never under 35. Yeah, I overlooked that a bit. And that he's going to be low owned.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So I think he's a really solid spend up option. The downside to it though is that the Bulls are, how slow paced this team is. They're going to want to get set up in the half court offense, and you're just kind of hoping the Hawks, they're obviously one of the fastest paced teams in the league, and you hope that the Bulls will kind of play up to their speed, which they should be able to. The Hawks they're bottom 5 transition defense, top. What's their pace? I think they're top 4, top 3 in pace this year. So hopefully the Bulls will play up. But if Trey's in, I think he's just the only one I want to look to right now. Don't mind playing a little bit Jalen Johnson. Bogdan's been playing much better too. Good matchup for 3-point shooters, and his price has come down a lot. 6.5K is pretty reasonable for him. But yeah, if Trey's out, surprisingly, then definitely could go right to DeJounte Murray. We already know how much usage he's going to command with Trey out of the lineup. And then on the Bulls side, it's a really good matchup for DeMar and Vooch. Unfortunately, I say that because I hate playing these guys. They're just the downside is so big on them, especially when they're all healthy playing together. And I'll just consider the Kobe White, Vooch, DeRozan the big 3 now since LaVine is out. I will just be a max one of the 3 guys, but it's hard to overlook the matchup for DeMar and Vooch. The Hawks are 27th overall in DVP to opposing wings, which DeMar is, so he's been playing good too. He's more of a cash game play for me. I think just you're going to get around 45 points from him. He rarely ever goes above 50, has 60 maybe once this year, so I think he's okay, just more so a cash play, or if he fits, you just have a forward spot left over with 8.2K, then maybe you go to him. But if you look at the guys priced around him too, we're talking about Paulo, we're talking about Franz, and I think I prefer Paulo and Franz over DeMar just for their upside. But yeah, definitely a good match for him. Really good matchup for Vooch too. Always like attacking the Hawks with opposing centers, and he's been he's been solid all year long, been really good lately, commanding a lot of usage. So I think he's definitely fine. A little bit less interested in Kobe here. The efficiency upside has come down a lot, and he's going to be guarded by DeJounte Murray, who we always talk about as being one of the better guard defenders in the league. So I definitely don't want to overthink that, and that would kind of just get me off of Kobe. But yeah, a lot of interest in Trey in this game, a little bit of interest in DeMar and Vooch.
So yeah, Vooch is questionable. We talked a little pre-show. You expect him to play? If he's not, though, Drummond, I mean, talk about lack of value. And someone mentioned earlier, I think, yeah, right here, could be Travis. If Vooch is out, he wants to lock Drummond, and he would be by far, I think, the most popular value on the slate. I would probably have, I mean, I think I had 100% freaking Paul Reed or something yesterday. So no such thing as a lock, but I would have so much Drummond as well. If Vooch, let's just say Vooch is in, Trey's in, kind of like we expect. I think Pat Will is getting a little ownership here. Any interest in like Caruso? Like Caruso's going to get the Trey assignment, which is always the best matchup you can get. They can't hide him anywhere else. It's not like 5-4 is cheap. Guard and forward eligibility is nice. But again, we're talking like the value we have right now, assuming somehow all these Q tags are in, which almost never is the case. However, Trey's questionable, went through shoot around. Wemby's questionable, went through shoot around. So some of these big Q tags we're expecting to play. Can you get to like a Pat Will if all these guys are in with the lack of value of Caruso? I guess Sadiq Bey's not even really cheap anymore, but thoughts on those secondary guys?
Yeah.
And then talk about Capella. If Vooch was out, we always, the other side, very few people talk about, but does that boost Capella if a Vooch was out against Drummond?
I don't think it gives him that big of a boost because I think Vucevic is not really that good of a defender as it is, and I don't think that Drummond is really that big of a downgrade. So I don't think that it's like a smash play for Capella by any means. And also, I do think that having Jalen Johnson back in the lineup could take a little bit of upside out of Capella's rebounding totals. And you're paying $7K for Capella, so I think that you can pretty comfortably get away from that. At least that's how I look at it. Yeah, I don't think that like Pat Will and Caruso type plays are the worst things as like last man in. I don't think that they're great by any means, but Patrick Williams is projecting as a positive value for us right now, and I think that you at that price tag, you're just looking for minutes, and he's been getting close to 35, 38, sometimes close to 40 minutes in games. So I think that he's very much in play. Definitely less interest in Caruso, but shooting guard, small forward eligible is nice. He's Caruso. Yeah, it's Caruso. Like it's 8 points or it's like 30. I just don't like. I would look for something a little bit more secure at that range, but I guess I wouldn't hate it if you landed on him as the last man in if no other value goes the way we need it to. But yeah, they're just okay. I don't see much that's screaming a great play by any means.
Yeah, I'd much rather play Pat Will. I mean, look at these minutes. The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 games, he's played at least 30 minutes. Usage has actually been a little higher than you expect. 18, 20, a 21 in there. I don't think he's the craziest play. Again, if no value opens up, I definitely don't love Pat Will, but comparing him to Caruso, I know Jalen Smith's cheaper and stuff, but hey, a guy that's playing 30 plus minutes on a slate, that value's tough. I think he's fine. Again, I would love Vooch to be ruled out. I would put all my chips on Drummond as well or someone out. And that's why these Nemhards, the Sohans, that's why these guys are getting so much ownership, because when you compare them to other people in their range, I mean, Nemhard's always going to project way better for 35, 36 minutes as a ball handler with solid usage compared to guys like Caruso, like a Pat Will. But yeah, go win that millie, Rio. Go win that millie, baby. Someone is going to win that millie. Hopefully it's us. Keep it rolling, though. Next game, big news in that one. Trae Young, Vooch, monitor it. We expect both to play. Stronger lean on Trae, who did go through shoot around. Next game on the slates, Minnesota Timberwolves, OKC Thunder. 227.5 total. OKC favored by 2. Again, big news on both sides of this one. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable on the OKC side. Jalen Williams is questionable. Pretty sure we were talking a bit. You expect Jalen Williams to play. It is an illness. Looking at this game in terms of ownership, assuming both of them do play, low owned. I think SGA is a very interesting spend. Man, like a Tyrese SGA. I think you're going to say SGA. I think SGA is safer in terms of ownership. I think both relatively low owned. Outside of SGA, though, assuming everyone plays in this game, I don't know, Chet maybe? It's tough for me to get to this, the Minnesota side when it's Anson, Townsend, Gobert, like all these guys are in. There's so many mouths. Probably not clicking any button there. Wouldn't need Towns out. Then I think Gobert would be a strong play at 7.9K. What are your thoughts, though? SGA, Chet are the main ones. Probably just SGA, though, or bust. What do you see?
Yeah, so I actually side with Halliburton over SGA tonight, I think.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, they're, I think, the best team in the NBA right now, record-wise. They're the best overall defense. And if there was ever a matchup or a player that could give SGA like fits and maybe get him to a floor game, it's definitely Jaden McDaniels. I mean, he's probably, I would say, a top 3 to top 5 on-ball defender in the league. I mean, he's just an absolute stud. Gives
him Herb Jones, Thibault. How you ranking it? How you ranking it?
I'm going McDaniels, Herb, Thibault.
What? Throw Vanderbilt in there. Where are you going with that?
Jared Vanderbilt?
Yeah, because I think he's up there too. You got him. 4?
I would probably put him above Thibault.
Thibault 4.
Yeah.
All right, love it.
But yeah, I mean, he matches up really well with SGA. Really, really lengthy. He's got a really wide wingspan. SGA is kind of a oversized guard, so I think that this is a really good matchup for, or I guess a bad matchup for SGA going against Jaden McDaniels. So I'm going to take an underweight approach on pretty much everybody on the OKC side. I mean, this game is going to be fun from a like a real life perspective. 2 of the best teams in the Western Conference, but both these teams are really, really solid defenses. Obviously the Wolves #1 overall. Even OKC is the 6th overall defense in the league. So I have not a ton of interest in this game. Pretty much no interest on the OKC side. I guess if you wanted to get to like a Giddey who's going to be back, 5.9K is fine for him. He's been playing much better. 6.6 is a little too expensive for Jalen Williams, I think, in this matchup, but I could definitely see him getting close to 40 minutes if he's cleared to go. But I don't really have a ton of interest in OKC. I think on the T-Wolves side, it's really kind of predicated on Karl Anthony Towns' availability. If he's out, I think you can go to Anthony Edwards. It's also a tough matchup for him against Lou Dort, but Lou Dort is not on the same level as like a McDaniels, like Thibault, Herb Jones. He's a really solid defender, but I don't think it's too big of a downgrade for Ant Edwards, and he's just been absolutely crushing lately, especially with Karl Anthony Towns off the floor. He has a massive usage rate, up to 35% usage rate with Cat off the floor. His minutes have been just sky high. Rebounding has been solid. Had a couple double-doubles in these, or double-digit rebounds in these last couple of games. So I definitely have interest in Ant if Cat is out. And same thing for Rudy Gobert. If Cat is out, don't mind him. It's actually a pretty solid matchup for him too against OKC. They're one of the worst rebounding teams against opposing centers, and we obviously know that's where Rudy Gobert does all of his work. That's the one thing that he's good at, is just grabbing boards. So I could see him having a huge game. You know, if Cat is out, maybe he gets to 18, 20 rebounds and puts up a pretty solid score that way. So those would be my favorite guys in this game if Cat was out. If Cat is in, pretty much X in this game out, I think.
Any thoughts on very low owned Chet? Assuming I think Cat would need to be in, but he'd get the Gobert assignments. He can stretch the court. I think. He took 6 threes last game. I think the 3-point attempts will be there. Any thoughts there? 40 or 4 straight games of 40 plus. Again, the matchup ain't great, like you're saying, but Gobert's not going to step out and guard him. I mean, he's going to try and have to. But what are your thoughts there on a very low owned Chet at a good center position?
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely make the player pool. I don't really see much that is just like screaming that he's like a good play, because we know how good of a defender Rudy Gobert is. I guess he does have the upside to pull him out to the 3-point line and get things going over there. The block upside has been massive lately too, giving him a solid floor and a higher ceiling. So I think he's okay.
Just fine. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be. Most people, if you're only playing a couple teams, though, it's someone that you're just about at 7-7, you really don't want to go to. So, yeah. Makes sense. That game, if Cat's out, then people are talking like Naz Reid, slow-mo. Yeah, that's when all those guys would be in play. We're talking about Pat Will and stuff on this slate. So then the secondary pieces on Minnesota would definitely get bumps if Cat is out. Otherwise, yeah, you talked me off of, I don't know, if I had one SGA team or something, I'd be fine with, but you like Tyrese more. Don't got to twist my arm for that. So I'll side with Tyrese as well. 3 games left on the slate. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Over 300 watching. A lot of people off of work. One of the first comments were off of work so I can act like a full-time DFS player for the next couple of days and dive in. So love that. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hope everybody had some great holidays. And hey, a little gift you can get yourself. SHIPIT Nation membership, correlation tool, ceiling rankings, projections, ownership, core reports, cash reports, a great Discord community, showdown content, which 10:30 Eastern, good prize pools as always out there. Our man Rio does a great job. Slate plan, a lot of the times up the night before, top tier, mid tier, lower tier, great breakdown in depth from our man Rio every single day. PGA is going to be back shortly. MMA, a couple more weeks. Then we got full swing there. NFL, of course, still going on. No better time to join all those sports. One price, weekly, monthly, 6-month, and annual packages. Head over to SHIPIT Nation. Check it out. And again, all of them come with the Discord except the weekly package. But if you do join anything but weekly, make sure to get in the Discord. Great community, a lot of knowledgeable members. You see Jordan in here talking. See Parabai in here talking. Jason in here talking. A lot of these guys in the Discord, always talking sports, dropping knowledge every single day. 3 games left, Rio. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern. The last game at 8 p.m. Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, 230 total. Pelicans are favored by 5 on the Memphis side. Marcus Smart is questionable. He hasn't played since November 14th is when he got injured. If he does come back, definitely should be on a minutes cap. So you're not playing him, but he is Q-tag for this one. John Conchar is Q-tag with the illness. And as far as on the other side for the Pelicans, Cody Zeller is questionable, which means absolutely nothing for me. In terms of ownership in this game, I think it's going to be very low owned. If I had to get to anyone, Zion at 7-7 is pretty interesting. Power forward eligibility is nice. Joe Val, minutes have been down the past 2 games a bit. Before that, though, was absolutely smashing. Ingram all the way down to 8K. Bane down to 8.2 now. Ja is back at 9.8. There really is no value in this game. Are any of these studs standing out to you? Otherwise, is it a fade?
Yeah, I have a lot of interest in the guards on both sides of this game. Ja Morant, since he returned from the suspension, just pretty much stepped right back into his normal role. Hasn't skipped a beat. I mean, this was the team that he faced in his first game, and he went off for 34 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes, and he's just showed why he's still one of the best in the league. Matchup-wise, this is a tough matchup for Ja going against Herb Jones, who we just talked about as a really solid defender. But, I mean, he's kind of torched Herb Jones a lot, and I think that there is a little bit of rumblings going on with Herb, just kind of, I mean, his minutes have been really up and down lately. His fantasy numbers have been way down lately. I think that he's just kind of playing a little timid right now, just knowing that the plug could be pulled pretty quickly on him if Trey Murphy is kind of outplaying him, or if Najee Marshall is outplaying him. He's kind of just playing a little bit more timid right now, not doing too much. So I think that, Ja, if he gets him into foul trouble, he's going to be matched up against a much weaker defender. And the Pelicans don't really have a ton of interior defense. Jonas Valanciunas not the best interior defender, and Ja is going to be driving to the basket all game long. Grizzlies playing much faster in pace since Ja returned too, after being one of the slower teams. They were one of the least efficient offenses in the league without Ja. But yeah, just one player can really turn things around for a team. So he's definitely in play. I like him a lot as a spend up, and I think I prefer him to SGA, even in a tough matchup, just because he has a little bit more upside just with the peripheral stuff. Already had a double-double with 11 assists last game in 36 minutes versus Atlanta, which is also a tough matchup for opposing point guards. So I have a ton of interest in Ja. Desmond Bane as well. The offense is going to be running through Bane and Ja Morant pretty much every single time that they're out there, and Bane will definitely have a lot of usage. He'll split some point guard minutes with Ja when he's off the court. So I don't mind Bane at 8.2K. It's a pretty popular range though for talking, some of the same guys in that 8.2, 8.4K range with the forward eligibility, talking about Paulo, DeMar, Bane, Markkanen, Franz. I think Bane is pretty interesting as a pivot to these guys because he's coming in at 5 to 7% ownership, where you got Paulo at close to 20, DeMar is looking at above 20.
McCall who's going to get ownership, for sure.
So the Bane kind of fits into a contrarian type pivot. If you can build a pretty chalky team and then just pivot DeMar to Bane for cheaper, and I actually like that. Or is he cheaper? I think
they're the same price, 8.2 and 8.2. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't mind that at all. I really like Bane here. And then that's pretty much it on the Grizzlies side. I think that if Smart were to play, that's just I don't know if he would be starting, but if he did, that's just sliding everybody up. I think that you go with probably Vince Williams would be out of the starting rotation. You put Marcus Smart at the point guard, shooting guard, Jaw at the point guard, shooting guard, and then Bane goes to the small forward. Then you got Jaren Jackson and Bismack. So that's kind of how I would look at it. But you're not playing Smart right now. He's going to be on a pretty strict minutes restriction, I would assume, being gone for so long. And then, on the Pelican side, this is a really good matchup for the guards. CJ, Brandon Ingram in really good spots here. Grizzlies are bottom 4 3-point defense, and DVP-wise, this is a really good matchup for guards. So I have a lot of interest in both of them. I'll lean with Ingram just because he has actually shown a ceiling, or he's been kind of just hovering around like 35 to 40 fantasy points. I'm not sure he has the massive 50, 55 plus fantasy point games with a team fully healthy, but we know that Ingram does because he's going to play close to 40 minutes in a close game, and he's going to be taking a ton of shots. So I like Ingram a lot here at 8K. Another guy you can use as a pivot to that same range. But Zion, he's interesting too. It's 7.7K, but tough matchup versus Jaren Jackson Jr.
He'll be on the bench with 2 fouls in 2 minutes anyway. Yeah,
exactly. And that's exactly what we saw happen the last time these teams played. He played 25 minutes in that game. So, I don't know. I'm never really looking to play Zion right now. He's just out of shape and missing games on back-to-backs as a 23-year-old.
Yeah, and coming off a Christmas buffet, as people like to say.
Yeah, man, you can't do it.
The thing is, I still think if I had to click any of these, I can't get to CJ. The matchup with Ingram, it feels like it's Zion's team when he does, the usage. When he gets the ball, he puts his head down. He's I'm not worried about Jaren Jackson because I think he's literally going to be in foul trouble so early. And 7-7 so appealing. Maybe all of this, though, because you lean CJ Ingram, you don't like Zion. My lean was Zion. Maybe I just cross off all these Pelicans. There's so many other ways I can go. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would definitely max one of those three. 100%. I'd rank it Zion, Ingram, CJ. But you like the other side, so maybe I can just cross it off. Any final thoughts in this one?
I'm trying to look at our ceiling rankings. Yes, I mean, I would probably agree with you. Be max one of that whole team. I think you can get to 2 just with their price tags being pretty reasonable in the mid 7Ks to 8K, but not sure exactly how much upside they have in this type of game environment. So I probably would be max 1.
I like it. Where I wanted to touch on this quick. And where is it? It was about the FanDuel. What are your thoughts on FanDuel and DK taking off the games on the main slate? My quick thoughts are, whatever can have bigger prize pools than they actually fill, I prefer. Talking personally, I want all the games on the slate, but that's because I have no life, no kids. This is what I do. So I'm sitting around my computer and I have more of an edge that way. However, I totally understand if you ask me that question in 15 years, 10 years, if I do have kids, God willing, and I plan on coaching all that, well, then I can't play DFS if I do that because I'll be at practice and you're giving up so much for late swap. So I would change my answer completely. So selfishly, I want all that right now because, again, I have no life. I have no responsibilities. This is what I do. However, for most people out there and all them, I totally understand what they're saying, and I wouldn't want all those late games. So any thoughts on that, Rio? I think you're probably in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Definitely give me all the games.
Yeah, and what we want, no one cares about anyway. Whatever fills the most money for DK and FanDuel's pockets is what happened, and we're going to be playing regardless what it is. 2 games left on the slate. Again, those games all 8 p.m. Eastern or before. 2-hour window, 10 p.m. Eastern, then 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Sacramento Kings, Portland Trailblazers, 237 total. Sacramento is favored by 8. On the Kings side, Malik Monk's questionable. I want to say,
I think somebody said he was ruled in.
he's in 29 minutes ago. Thank you. So Malik Monk is in. Alex Len is questionable. On the Portland side, big news. Big news is right. Portland side, DeAndre Ayton, Shaedon Sharpe is questionable. Do you have a lean on either of those two? Because obviously most of your teams will have most of those spots probably already filled with these 2 games on an island. Any thoughts on those two? And then what are you doing in this game?
Yeah, I actually think that they both could miss. Definitely think Ayton is at more of risk for missing. I believe his injury is a knee tendonitis thing, which is never good for big men. You know, that's giving me Greg Oden flashbacks. But yeah, I think he's definitely at risk of missing. So we could be getting Duop Reith back into the starting lineup, and maybe there's an edge to waiting and seeing if he does start, because he would be a much better value than a lot of these guys that we would be looking to play, better than, Jalen Smith and some of these other Spurs guys like Sohan that we're going to land on. Like, he would be a much better value play than all of these guys if Ayton were to miss. I'm not too sure about Shaedon Sharpe, though. I think that he's probably just a true 50-50. So I don't have really much input about that. I haven't heard much.
The Ayton stuff's big, though. That's important because he's already, the price is good. He's projecting well. Like, he's already going to get some ownership, and that would definitely throw a wrench into things with these 2 games on an island. So that's important. Yeah,
just it's pretty, you're going to have to save 2 spots, I think, for the late game if you're looking to play into that, just because, if Ayton is in, then you're left with who, like a Daniel Tice or Amir Coffey, and Cody Martin in the Charlotte side, like those type of guys in the late games. I think you got to be smart about how you play it. And maybe you can get to Kamara if you have a utility spot open and he's going to play minutes. But yeah, so I don't know. Ayton could definitely sit. Shaedon Sharpe, I am less certain on. But matchup wise, this is a good matchup for Sabonis. Blazers, one of the worst interior defenses in the league with Ayton down there. I don't think that they're going to get much better with Duop Reith down there. He's got triple doubles in back-to-back games, so he's shown a pretty kind of weird that he only got up to 50 DraftKings points after getting a triple double. And I was talking to Assassins in the Discord, and he had Sabonis in his showdown lineup, and he wasn't even on the winner with a triple double, which was interesting to see. But he did put up 62 2 games ago against Phoenix with a 28-point triple-double. So, yeah, I prefer him to Fox in this matchup personally. But, yeah, not much like holes to poke in Fox's matchup. He's been one of the best, most consistent scorers in the league. One of my favorite players, too, so I have a little bit of soft spot for him. But I don't think that I'm going to get there in this matchup. He's projecting as a really solid value right now, though, not coming in with pretty much any ownership. Which is kind of interesting. So it's just looking like a pretty heavy mid-tier build type of night if you're looking at the ownership on all these studs.
It's because, as Keith asked, who are the cheapies you like? Like, we haven't said anyone below 4K, I don't think. Hardly anyone in the mid 4K. Like, when I'm mentioning Alex Caruso because of trade defense and Pat Witt, like, that's why Nembhard's going to be so high owned. There is not great value by any means right now. We are waiting on a Q tag to be ruled out. If Vooch is out, Drummond will be 9. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but any of these Q tags out, somehow Wemby was out, Trey was out. Again, they went through shoot around. Vooch was out. Like, there is not good value right now, and that's why SGA, Tyrese Halliburton, all those guys up there are going to come in so low owned. If Luka was on the slate, he'd be low. Giannis, etc. So, yeah, this mid-tier build is definitely going to be popular.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. Hopefully we get some value throughout the slate, but yeah, on the King side, it's just Sabonis and Fox for me, and I slightly lean Sabonis. And then on the Blazers side, Anthony Simons, 8.1K, been around that price tag pretty much all season long since he's come back from injury. He's been as consistent as they come, just been lights out shooting. Yeah, good. I guess it's an okay matchup for him. Probably going to get Kevin Huerter on defense, he's okay defensively, but Simons is going to have a ton of usage again if Sharpe and Ayton were out. It was Malcolm Brogdon who had the better game last time out, but I think more so his median outcome is going to be around like the 30 minutes range, getting close to 25 to 30 DraftKings points, and Anthony Simons is going to be the one to have the better game most nights. So I have a slight lean to him. I don't think that Grant is the worst play. Slightly better matchup versus Keegan Murray, who's not that great of a defender. He's going to be out there for heavy minutes too, so I wouldn't mind him. I think Scoot would come back into play if Shaedon Sharpe were to be out. His minutes kind of came down with Sharpe back in the lineup, or with Brogdon back. But I think that you're going to have to fill in some more shooting guard, small forward minutes. I think Scoot could be in play a little bit at 5.3K. But yeah, I don't really see much. It's just Simons mainly on the Portland side, and then Sabonis and Fox in Sacramento.
Yeah, I see it a lot of. If Ayton, again, it's really tricky because 6.8K. If Ayton was ruled in, I think he would be popular. Again, if he's ruled out, that's when you can get the Reese, who's just center eligible too, but you would need a 2v2 because you don't want to be leaving 4K through whatever 3K it is on the table. I do like Anthony Simons a lot because I still think he's a fine play, even if Sharpe and Ayton were in. If they're ruled out, even a bigger boost. And then Jeremy Grant. If you tell me they're both in, I don't want Jeremy Grant on this slate. I don't think he's the worst play, but there's a lot of other guys I would rather. But if they're both ruled out or even one of them, I'd be totally fine with a sub 5% owned Jeremy Grant playing 39 minutes or whatever it may be. So huge injury news, but you have to have a plan with these two games on an island at the end. I love the Sabonis call, 9.7K, a good center position. But again, he's coming in low owned because the lack of value right now is tough. I think Fox is good too for the same reason. I would max one. I mean, especially on this slate, there just isn't enough value to get to both. Not saying they both can't get 55 together. It's just you need to run pretty good, I think, to get that on a 9-game slate. They cost too much together for me to get there. So Ayton news definitely big. Have a plan if you do have them in your lineup. One game left on the slate, and again. Oh, I shouldn't say and again. I saw my man Nades, our man Nades in here saying winners. What's going on, Nades? Meant to say hi to you earlier. Hope you had a good Christmas. What site has a millionaire contest? DraftKings, $2,500, 1 million to first, 1,000 entrants. And I was going to say 1,000 people, but you know those rich people throwing in the max at 30 entries at 2,500 a pop. I would say one day, but no chance I will ever get to that point. Next game on the slate, last game of the slate, 10:30 Eastern, Charlotte Hornets, Los Angeles Clippers, 227.5 total. Clippers are favored by 12 on the injury report. Brandon Miller is questionable with his ankle injury. He got hurt last game, which was December 23rd. So he's had a couple days to rest, but turned his ankle. I think McGowan's would probably start if he is out, and that is important news on this slate. Mark Williams still going to be out. He is doubtful. On the other side for the Clippers, huge news again. Kawhi is questionable. Do you have a lean on Brandon Miller or Kawhi in this one? Because obviously these last two games, if Kawhi was ruled out, PG only 8.7K, Harden 9.1K. If Brandon Miller is out, Rozier 8.5, the Bridges 8K, Hayward 6.7. I don't think that's the craziest plays. Kawhi means a little more. I don't know, though, man. That's 3 really big Q tags in these last two games with Ayton, Brandon Miller, and Kawhi. So any leans on that? What are you doing in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for these guys to be able to return here, just getting a few days off. A little bit worrisome with Brandon Miller, though. This is like the 3rd or 4th time he's injured his ankle, and this is a new ankle injury. This is not the same one. So hopefully you can get that figured out. I know that those ankle injuries can be very nagging for a lot of these players, so hopefully he can get healthy. But I mean, he's young, so I think he should be back. And then Kawhi probably going to be back too. It's a hip injury, which we've surprisingly seen a lot of star players have hip injuries this year too, which is kind of weird. But I think I'm expecting him to return. Had a good amount of days off. So he hasn't played since the 20th of December, so it's full week pretty much. So he should be back. And yeah, I mean, if both teams have a pretty fully healthy team, I just don't really see much in this game that stands out. Charlotte has normally been a team that we're looking to attack for DFS because they usually play really fast-paced, really bad defensively. They're still bad defensively. They're bottom 2 defense, but their pace has not been the same as years before. Definitely much worse with no LaMelo Ball in the lineup. They're 16th overall in terms of pace this year, which is not great. And we know that the Clippers are a much slower team. They're in the bottom 10, and they're playing really well defensively this year too. So not a ton stands out. I think you could definitely make a case for Terry Rozier. He's very similar to Cade in terms of his ball handling role, been one of the best in the league. Just assist numbers are up. His rebounding has been up. The time of possession he's had the ball in his hands a ton, shown good upside a lot lately too. So I don't think that he's the craziest play at 8.5K. But outside of him, not really interested in anybody on the Hornets. But yeah, like you said, if Miller is out, I mean, hopefully we'd get that news early in the day. I doubt it, but that would definitely open up a starting spot for most likely Bryce McGowan's. That might open up more minutes for Cody Martin, who would be a value. I mean, his first game back, I know he didn't perform well, but minutes-wise, he's been out all year, and he got up to 17 minutes last game. So that tells you, they definitely value this guy as a player. And if they're going to be thin at that shooting guard small forward spot, I think that he definitely could be in play. I think he's in play even now, throwing out the terrible fantasy game, but it's hard to overlook somebody coming back at 3.5K, getting almost 20 minutes. So I would not mind him at all. And on the Clipper side, yeah, like I said, if they're fully healthy, I think you're just a max one, Harden, Kawhi Leonard. All of them are in pretty good spots. I think this is a really sneaky good spot for Ivica Zubac too, versus the Hornets, who are one of the worst teams. Their interior defense is terrible, and they're a bottom. They're towards the bottom in DVP versus the center position too. Bottom 3 in DVP versus center. So I think that he's in a sneaky good spot. Would not mind him at 6.4K, but yeah, not a ton of interest in this game. Kind of okay if I only get to one guy in this spot or just exit out even.
Yeah, I think more than likely I'll probably have no one in this game. I think Kawhi probably plays. The Martin shout's interesting. I mean, he comes back the 23rd. His brother Caleb gets hurt yesterday. Tough scene for these Martins. You don't even know. They could be like the Morrises. You could put, at least in how I look at them, identical twins, throw the other one out, put a different jersey on. You'll have no clue which one's which, but one goes down, one comes back. We said nobody under 4K. The guy will be, if you play him, you will probably be one of the only people in your tournament to play him, but you'll get on a whole different roster construction. I doubt I go there myself, but if Brandon Miller's out, you do have that upside there as well. Long story short, though, I don't really have interest in this game. That is all 9 games on the slate. Hour 15, talking some ball. A lot of Q tags. Again, projections updated throughout the night. Core reports updated throughout the night. Check out the slate plan, our ceiling rankings, correlation tools. Showdown report will be up later as well. No better time. Head over to shipitnation.com. $25 a week, and everything included except Discord. Monthly $69 a month, or 6 month comes out to $59 a month, and annual comes out to $49 a month. Get in the Discord again if you do join. All packages except the weekly come with it. Good luck tonight, my man Rio. Somebody out there's got to win the millie. Any final thoughts for the people?
Yeah, no, definitely good luck to everybody playing tonight. I know we got a couple members in the millie tournament. I know you got a few in there too, so good luck to everybody playing tonight. I got a lot of work to do. Got to catch up, get the slate plan up. Definitely off to a late start today, so I'll be working on that for everybody, all of our members that have access to that. I'll get that up within the next 20-30 minutes or so. But yeah, really good slate. I like the way that it's shaking out right now with all the games in the 5 p.m. window. Hopefully we get some injury news going our way, and we can find some low-owned options that can break the slate for us and hopefully win somebody $1 million tonight.
Absolutely. And of course, most people not in that millie. I'm very rarely in that millie as well. Whatever you're playing, $5, go win $100. Go double your money. Go win something out there. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Hope you guys had very Merry Christmas. New Year's coming up. We'll be back tomorrow talking hoops. As always, good luck to everybody out there. For Rio, I'm Titletown. Have a good night. Good luck.